Welcome to Legacy Talks. I am so thrilled to have a fellow Canadian, a woman that I look up to, an author, and so much more. Welcome to Dubai.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Sophie Grégoire Trudeau, this is your book. I just finished reading it.
It takes a Canadian to know how to pronounce my name.
I'm trying to do the French, trying to like pull it out, but I was like, I'm not going to embarrass myself, but no. I am such a fan. And I hope I said it right.
You said it perfectly. Sophie Grégoire Trudeau.
Yeah. The last name has a lot of weight, and so personally for me, I know we talked about it, my parents were immigrants to Canada, and your father-in-law was pivotal in making that happen. So we're very grateful to your family.
So are we. Because we make this country together. And this world together.
And we talk about how incredible Canada is. It's multicultural, it's full of diversity, and so it's really an honor to have you here. But as a reader, this was so exciting to read. Because, Legacy Talks was really created about, I created it for women my age who just really were kind of coming into their own and started having their own voice. And through this book, I just read that and resonated with it so much. What was the process of writing this book? When did you decide to put pen to paper? Because I feel like you've had, I know we're going to go back into kind of where you started, but to really make this happen, I'm sure it's been a thought for so long.
Yeah, you know what? When I think about the book and how I feel towards it, what I put in there, two words come to heart and to mind: pain and privilege. Pain because I'm a human being. Everybody has pain. We all navigate our own stories of suffering in life. And privilege because I was put into positions, opportunities, spaces in my life, yes, as, an unofficial First Lady of Canada, but many other, roles and spaces and positions that I was put into. I tried to do my best to not believe in the title itself, to remain who I was, so that people who knew me could see the same Sophie every time. And I'm still this way. I try to be who I am. I don't pretend to be anybody else. I'm not perfect, but I'm a good human being, and I have so much love to give. So that's the first part. And the second part, so pain and privilege, because I, as a mental health advocate and as somebody who had access to incredible experts, I was learning so much through the past, 20, 25 years, because I've been a mental health advocate and an ambassador for different, organizations, and working with teenagers, and, physical exercise and how it's important for mental health and eating disorders, and, all the kind of like the umbrella.
Spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. Full spectrum of what wellness really means. And because I had that access, it all came to me in one point, and I felt I have to write a book. I have to make sure that everything that I'm learning isn't just reserved to me or psychologists or people who know about the topic of human connection and how we form our personality. So I said, it's the time. I'm going to write this book. And it took me a year or so, and I had, the sling for babies that we wear as mothers.
Yeah.
You're at some point you're going to have one. Yeah. I had my book in there in a way. It was like my baby. And for anybody who's, started a company or had a child or started a big project that is their own and a team effort as well, it's like a baby that you carry. And then you want to present it to the world. So I took the risk, because when it comes out, you're like, how are people going to feel, right? And this is a book about feeling, not just thinking. It's a book about feeling. So I've had a lot of people come up to me crying or, being very vulnerable, and how it made them feel. And that's the goal. If you feel a lot during reading this book, then my goal as an author, exactly, I've done my job. Yeah.
You've done your job. I will say, when I told people that I was interviewing you, literally everyone said that. People that knew you were like, she is the same that you see on TV, that you see on, Instagram, really? And that you kind of meet, and there's this real warmth about you. And I think it's so genuine when people just randomly say that, and it's so nice.
It's such a good compliment, and at 50, I take that in, and I don't take it lightly. When you're young, you're like, thank you. Now it's like, okay, people sense the integrity that I'm cultivating inside myself, so thank you. It means a lot to me.
It was so nice, because I only knew you as kind of the First Lady of Canada, and always looked up to you, and also the way you just kind of did everything so gracefully, and was an incredible mom, and being in the public eye, which is not easy. So let's kind of rewind back to Canada. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a little town outside of Montreal, about an hour away, and it's called Saint-Adèle in the Laurentians. And I was born kind of like in nature. My parents let me play outside all the time. I was most of the time alone. Sometimes I had a little play date here and there, and I was surrounded by adults, right? And so I think that part of me grew up quickly from an emotional perspective because I had to mature quickly being surrounded by a lot of adults. And the other was obviously the free child. I was very much loved. My parents were very loving people. And my father is gone, from his body because he passed less than 2 years ago. I still have my mama. But now it's kind of just her and I. I don't have siblings, right? So when I meet human beings that I feel connected to, it's reassuring to me. Because my family was very small. My unit was tiny. And I don't know why I'm jumping to this. I'm making myself very vulnerable. But when my father was in his last days, I went to see him in the hospital. And he was in the bed, and I had a bed beside him. And I slept there for one night with my mother. And I remember watching his breath, like with one eye, not being able to fall asleep, just in case it was his last.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing his chest rise and fall, and my kids had put a little plush toy, because he used to buy my kids plush toys all the time. And I had put it here so I could see how many breaths he would still take until the end. And I'll never forget how I was there one last time with my parents. They were my family.
Yeah.
I didn't have brothers or sisters. And that is like ingrained in my nervous system, in my mind, and my heart. And when I go back to that moment, I remember feeling I never want to let go of this. But you have to, right? When you lose somebody.
Yeah.
If you've grieved before, you know that it's so hard. It's so hard. But at the same time, my revelation is that I feel closer to other human beings. I feel almost like if I choose well and I trust my intuition and I trust my values that my father and mother gave me, my family can be so extended. And the more I do this work, the more I extend it, right? And we spend time together and with other women around us. And that's something that can be cultivated. And I think that we all long for it in different ways.
And one of the things we talked about as well is like we're humans. Humans are meant to exchange in energy and conversation, and all of that is so important. So you can't do it alone, and you can't be in the world.
You can't do it alone, no.
So you grew up in a small town, and then you end up in Montreal, which is a big city.
Thank you for bringing me back there. So yes, so we moved to Montreal when I was about 5 years old, and then my life changed. It was not nature-oriented so much, in the city, and I made new friends, and I had to make new friends because I didn't have brothers or sisters to play with in the house. So I changed schools, 2 or 3 times in a decade, and I adapted pretty well. And I stayed in Montreal until my 20s, which I went to university at Université de Montréal and McGill University in Commerce for a little while. I didn't like that, so I switched to communications and went to TV and radio school.
Yes.
So like when we do television, I feel at home, right? This set feels like home, and there's something so beautiful about it because we get to connect with people in a very particular way. But when it's real, it's felt. Yeah.
How was that being on television? I feel like, did it prepare you for where you kind of ended up?
Yes, it prepared me for being bulldozed, right, and projected in the public eye. Nothing prepares you for it, really. Because if you knew how it would feel, nobody would choose it, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want to bring anybody down or tell people, well, don't go into public service or, don't do something that might expose you to the eyes of the world, because then good people are not going to want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So it leaves a trace of nervousness because of your security, physically, psychologically, and your family and the people that you love is at risk when you're in public office. So I made sure that I practiced a lot. For me, it's movement, getting outdoors, speaking my truth, having a close community that I can trust. And I'm not perfect. Like, I make mistakes. Sometimes I didn't deal with it as best as I could, but I'm a human being. So I learn from my mistakes, and I just try to be a better person and to be more into my authentic self and to be in service to my brothers and sisters. I don't really see such a difference between human beings. So at the end of the day, whether I'm at the supermarket or on a stage in front of 10,000 people, I'm still Sophie because you're still you, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
But how do you prepare yourself for, what would your advice be to anyone who is in that position or kind of thrown into that position of being in the public eye?
How to prepare yourself for a position that's in the public eye. I would say be.
You need tough. Like I feel like you need tough skin. Right?
So I think that's a sentence that we've been using for quite a while. Toughen up. Have that shell to protect you. Yes, you do have to have boundaries. Yes.
Yeah. Boundaries.
So you don't let anybody come into your close circle. That would be reckless.
Yeah.
Right. You never know who's coming in.
Of course.
But I would say that if you know who you are.
Yeah.
If you work on yourself and you have clear boundaries. And you don't have a sense that you have to prove yourself to the entire world. Then you work from a place that's more at peace. And you attract people, usually, who would be more at peace within themselves. So the one thing that I've learned is if you start taking things personally all the time, you'll just crumble.
Yeah.
So if you know who you are, and you know the good that you want to do in your life, and you're open to becoming a better person, right? Because some of the...
well, you always have to evolve.
Right.
And that's one of the things I loved about your book, is that you constantly have to be growing, and every day is a new day.
Yeah.
And every day you have another chance to like evolve, grow, learn. And that's why, like, your trajectory, I feel like, being on TV prepared you for kind of this next stage of...
I think it did in some ways, because when the cameras appeared and I was, with a prime minister or my family was exposed, it's something that didn't intimidate me, but it's not something that I loved.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's something that I had to compose with. And I tried to lower my stress levels when it came to that. I'm not perfect. I didn't do it always well. But I think that I tried to really keep an elegance of spirit, an elegance of heart, where I reminded myself that I was in service. I didn't believe, I'm in this position and this is what I get to do, right?
Yeah.
No. Like, take it seriously, don't take yourself seriously.
Yeah.
So I hope that maybe that's what you felt when you say you did it gracefully. Maybe what you really mean is I did it with integrity.
Yeah. True.
And you can't
Very
fake
much.
that.
That's true.
You can't fake that. Yeah.
How do you prepare your kids?
That's another question.
That is another. Like, how do you prepare them for just being in that eye and being good examples? Because they have so many people that look up to them as well.
That's a hard one to answer. But to be honest...
like, what are the just in general, like the conversations at the dinner table, are they?
They weren't political.
Yeah. Okay.
Because at the end of the day, we would leave the job aside or try to and just be us, be a family. Tell each other how our day went. Yes, so there could be a slight conversation on something that happened in Dad's life or my life, but we were curious of them, right? How are you navigating? How are you doing? I'm sure sometimes they felt comfortable talking about stuff, sometimes less comfortable. It's normal in a family. But I think they knew that they could come to us. We were figures of safety, right? Yeah. In an unsafe world sometimes. And I think that kids, you can tell them whatever you want, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes it comes through one ear and it comes out the other. But they see me the way I treat myself, the way I treat other people, whether I'm in front of the cameras or not. Is there an integrity? Is there a coherence? Is there a constant Sophie that is, yes, I'm a mother, I was a wife, I was an unofficial first lady, I was in many roles, but I didn't attach to those roles, although my kids came first at all times.
Love that.
Yeah. And I continued to take care of myself, because you can't give your kids what you don't give yourself. It's not possible. We think it is because we're taught that it is, but we do need to attend to and pay attention to what our bodies need and minds and hearts to feel fulfilled, so that we can give without having our cup, half full.
So after Montreal, where did the family move to?
Well, I moved out of my family home in my early 20s. And I went into an apartment in Montreal. I had a rabbit and a parrot.
Love that.
Can you believe it?
It's okay, I have a cat. I'm like obsessed with
and then I had a cat. But not with I had to get rid of the bird before I got the cat. And I remember, it was just such a moment of unfolding for me, because you think you know who you are in your 20s, right? You have this concept of who you are. And then it's like, oh, I don't know. And to be honest, still at 50 sometimes, I'll keep an open space as to, am I really this? Am I really that? What I truly sits with goodness inside of me. And usually your intuition knows best, right? When this starts to get too involved, you dilute things. So, I just think that I moved into an apartment, I started unfolding in my life, and then I had a couple of, good men in my life, good boyfriends, and they taught me everything. They taught me some things about me, and I taught things about themselves as well. I learned along the way. I made mistakes. I had different jobs in public relations, fashion, television, and I started to write the news in a newsroom at the bottom of the screen. You know that blue little line that always... So I was the one responsible for writing that. I made mistakes. I almost got fired. I learned from them. I was crying in the bathroom and I was like, okay, get back up.
Yeah.
And then I started working. I love nature and I love sports. So I started to have a show, you won't believe this, on extreme sports.
No way.
Yes.
I actually believe that because I was just with her for tea. And she just looked out the window and was like, those are amazing waves for surfing.
Yeah.
Like,
I saw a little wave coming. I'm like, that could be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, my father taught me to be very comfortable in my physicality, to trust my body as a woman. So he would tell me, jump off that rock, let's go barefooting, let's go slalom skiing early in the morning. He taught me to how to trust my body during speed alpine skiing. So I'm still this way. And yes, it's amazing because when you believe in your physicality as a woman, you believe in your mental process. And so I think that I'll always hear my dad's voices. I'm going to become emotional because he's not with us the same way as before. But he would always say, go, Soph, t'es capable, which means go, Soph, you can do it, right? So I always hear that voice again and again when I doubt, because I'm a human being and I will doubt again and again, right? I'm like, you can do it. And I think that we're not taught enough to leave our places of comfort and push a little bit our boundaries. Push your physical boundaries, push your body, push your psychological boundaries as well, and see where you can go. Not to make yourself go crazy, right? And take risks that are too dangerous, but a little bit. A little bit, yeah.
I actually wish I was like that.
Yeah? Hang out with me more.
I know. Like, I'm so scared of like...
Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
You know how I learned?
Yeah.
My father taught me to push my limits, but he was super playful.
Yeah.
So if I took your hand and we went to the amusement park or the water slide, and you're like, Sophie, I'm going to die. Okay. And I'm laughing my head off.
Yeah.
And we're like dancing, and we forget the world for a second.
Yeah.
You'd probably say yes.
Really?
And I'm like, we're going to bawl.
Like the thought of being in a roller coaster and paying for my stomach to go here.
Yes.
Like,
my stomach still goes there when I go into a roller coaster.
I'm like scared. Yeah.
But if you go into what you fear with a state of playfulness, like a child, right? A child might be scared to jump off that rock and land into the lake. And if the parent's like, oh, no. Of course that child is going to be scared. But when my father was there with open arms, come on, jump, I'm going to catch you. That leap as children comes to us a little bit more naturally because we're less judgmental, we'll go for it, our fear factor is a little bit lower. But as adults, we lose this. And when we lose our capacity to take risks like that, sometimes we lose it at the risk of losing a little bit of playfulness.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is so true, because I feel like when you become an adult, you feel like it's all responsibility and it's not fun anymore.
Oh my God. When my son turned, I think, 14, he told me one day, I'm not excited to go to the movies anymore. And he was sad. And I'm like, I almost said, are you joking? Find something else to do.
Yeah.
But then I was like, wait a second, he's trying to tell me something.
Yeah.
And I dig a little bit, and he looked at me and he said, I feel like I'm not in childhood anymore. And it made me emotional because he's like, I'm not excited like I used to be. And I said, well, you understand the point of life. He's like, what do you mean? And I said, you're going to have to cultivate that playfulness to live for the rest of your life.
You have to find it.
And you have to find it. And sometimes you have to push it. It doesn't come always easily as a child. And that's why children teach us so much, I find, right? To be more playful, to be on all fours and just, forget what you look like, forget the world for a second and just be free.
That's so nice.
Yeah, I know. It feels so good. It does.
So after Montreal, when did you end up in Ottawa? Like, how did that leave happen?
Yeah, I had my first 2 children. I have 3 children. I had them in Montreal. And when Justin, he wasn't elected yet. He got elected in Montreal, in the riding of Papineau, Montreal. And we had to spend our weekends in church basements and supermarkets to sell, where you park your car. Parking lots, right? Not in the supermarkets. You're not allowed to sell membership cards there. But door-to-door, campaigning. So we did all that for about 1 to 2 years nonstop before we moved to Montreal. Before we moved from Montreal to Ottawa. And so when we moved to Ottawa, he wasn't elected prime minister yet. We had a feeling there was a momentum. We could feel Canadians' pulse and what they needed. And we tried to stay so in tune and listening. And we both thought, okay, this might be the time to move to Ottawa. So we did. I had my 3rd child there, Hadrian, and now I have a almost 12-year-old, 17 and 18.
Amazing. And I love that you have a big family. I mean, I came from 3, so
I think I have a big family as an only child.
Oh yeah, which is I came from 3, so that's kind of like my dream. That it's such a nice number
right?
for kids. Yeah,
You're starting.
Starting.
Yeah.
And with Ottawa home, did you really find Ottawa home, or was it just a lot of work? Did you resonate it with only work?
You know what? I've met so many human beings who have had a home in different places. I haven't. I lived in, Laurentians, Montreal, then Ottawa. I've traveled a lot. But what I found is quickly, as you know, I'm an extrovert. Can you tell? I'm social. I love people. So I made friends easily. I was a little bit guarded because we were known there. So I tried to be discerning of who I let really close into our home. There were a couple of scares for our security before we got elected, and that really scared me. I was a nursing mom. And I decided to take my time. And today I have a new tribe in Ottawa that's unbelievable. But now I'm moving back to Montreal.
Are you going back?
Yeah.
Which is so nice.
Back home.
But Montreal's amazing, by the way.
Yes.
It's a great city. It's so vibrant. So fun.
In the summer.
Yeah,
I
don't think I can do the cold weather anymore.
I can because I'm a skier.
You're a skier.
But if you don't like the cold, I think it's really about getting out there, even if it's cold, but dressed properly. Layers, 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 layers. You don't have to wear layers anymore.
Here,
Lucky you.
Yeah. I just need to be in dresses here.
Exactly.
And I love the city.
Exactly.
I want to talk about your kids because what are some of the principles? What are some of the takeaways that viewers can watch of how you raise them? To be vulnerable, to talk about failure. What are some of the conversations that you think that you've instilled in them? Because they're great kids.
Thank you. They're kind people. I think they're searching for themselves in their own ways. They're just human beings. I think we believe that kids belong to us. They don't. Yes, they are our kids, but they belong to this universe or to whoever you have faith in or whatever, to a greater of something than what the eye can see. And they have to become their own people. And actually, in my book, Closer Together, I discuss this growing up, evolving phase for children where it really matters how they differentiate from you. So don't be alarmed if your children are trying to push away who you are and are trying to express who they are by pushing away who you are, because that's what's called a very normal developmental phase of the teenage years, where they have to reject part of what you taught them in order to become who they are. Now, the most important thing is, can they do that while still feeling unconditionally loved at home? So if you reject them, if you judge them, and by the way, I'm not perfect. I'll judge my kids once in a while, right? But they remind us very quickly, right? They remind me very quickly. So I think it's about not seeing our role as parents as a role, but a relationship. And one thing I've noticed is that if we have trauma or suffering or concepts of the world that we're so rigid with, and we don't allow them to explore a little bit on their own, they're going to carry a weight that doesn't belong to them. That weight belongs to us, not our children. So I try to make the weight on me, as light as possible by knowing who I am and not, trusting in the world and respecting people. And I think, I'll make mistakes, I'll judge, I'll do things I regret, but I try to repair them quickly. And I try to be as aware as possible. So I think my kids are seeing this. I hope so, right?
Yeah, of course.
To be honest, in the last few months, you're asking me this at a very pivotal time, because I have a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old, and I have a 12-year-old. So they're all, at different phases.
At different stages, and the 18-year-old is going to, I don't know, in university already or going?
So both my son and daughter are transitioning towards university.
And which is, you kind of let them go.
Well, one doesn't want to be in that academic field. Totally get it. It's his choice. But it's hard as a mom. You're like, really? Where are you going? And then the other one is, neuropsychology and wants to follow the academic path. So I'm learning through them what I'm insecure about. And my son really told me at some point, he said, your insecurity is weighing on me. Can you stop worrying and trust me? And I was like, yeah, that's my role as a parent, is to learn more about myself while guiding my children and loving them.
I love that.
Yeah.
And just from that statement, you can tell that you have a very close relationship,
I
that
do.
they can be very open and communicate with you.
Yeah, I think we pick up too much maybe on each other's cues, because the minute there's something off,
You can feel it.
Yes, because as an only child surrounded by adults, I developed that reflex. I had to be hypervigilant, right? My family was not perfect, as in any family, and there were some troubles between sometimes my mother and my father, and I would pick up on it as a survival mechanism, like what is wrong, right? Every child will pick up on a family environment and energy. You can hide secrets from your children. Be very careful, because there's energy around those secrets, and they'll know.
They feel it.
Yeah.
You had such a dynamic family life in the later years, being in public life, and of course raising your kids in a very public domain as well. Now you've moved on to really allowing yourself to focus on what you're truly passionate about, which is mental health. How was that transition?
Between
coming out of public office, which is a responsibility on its own.
Right.
And then really did you take a moment to kind of take a pause and say, okay, where do I want to go next? Okay.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
And one word I think would be conscious. I was conscious that the public office, the co-political path, the not working in my career for 12 years because I had to do volunteer work, which was incredible because I was in service to other people.
Yeah, of course.
But the financial independence that I had, the career freedom that I had, it was different. It took a different form. So post-political, just like any political figure too, is like, oh, who am I now, right? They have to figure out what's going on. So I had to be conscious of my own process and to keep track of what truly motivates me and makes me feel like I'm contributing to this world. And like you, I worked in fashion, in beauty, and now in wellness and mental health. But I want to make sure that what I do reflects not just the mental health part, but the full prism of the woman that I am. And I'm a woman. I also love beauty and fashion and wellness and creating incredible containers for women to thrive and entrepreneurship. And I have all those fibers inside of me. So right now, I'm looking for allies, actually, to extend the platform, the voice, the knowledge, but to make it accessible to as many people as possible and to include incredible talent, in my, I would say, professional family. So I'm expanding the family. Yeah.
I love that you had
And you're more than welcome.
Yeah, for sure. No, but I love that you had experts in your books, because I just feel like a lot of times when women are, and even for me, like just whether it's a corporate path or a career path, just working, and then you take this pause. And that's kind of what I'm trying to understand. Like, did you literally just write down in a journal, like, what is the next path?
I do write in a journal, and I write before I go to bed.
Yeah.
And honestly, I wasn't sleeping for years. I had trouble sleeping. That's why the stress usually, during the day, we're in activation mode. We're like survival.
You're on.
And then when you stop slowing down in the middle of the night, woohoo, 3 a.m., dribble running in the mind, not fun. And we've talked about this before with other women who are suffering, and most of us aren't sleeping well because that stress is internalized. So I had to stop and really be like, okay, I have to slow down in order to really know where I'm headed. Yeah. And that's a luxury in life, to be able to slow down. And I had that privilege to slow down because I could pay my rent and I had food on my table and I had a community that I feel that I could count on. But it doesn't mean it goes without suffering, right? Yeah. I mean, grief, losing somebody that you love, transforming a marriage, transforming a relationship, reviewing the concept of success that I had when it came to family and marriage. All of it in my 50s, I feel I have to reconstruct with more openness, less rigidity. Yeah.
And then do you just let go? What did you feel? That you just had to surrender, or did you have to?
Oh yeah, there's been lots of realizations and tears. I lost my dad, so lots of lessons of letting go. Hard, so hard.
Yeah. No, grief is another.
It's another beast.
It's another beast. Yeah. I mean, no, my heart goes out to you because
You know what that's like?
I have my parents, but it's literally my biggest fear. I think if someone asked me what my biggest fear is, just losing. Like, I'm so close to my family. Like, there's not one day where we don't talk on a group chat or I speak to them or so that literally is my biggest fear. So my heart goes out, and they're in their 80s. So they're in their 80s. I find that fascinating what you're saying, because every day is a micro death, because every day we approach death more and we grieve and we hurt and we lose and we learn to detach. And as a yogi, as somebody who practices yoga, it could be any other form of mindful practice, but that works for me. I'm reminded
how much peace I have to create in myself so that when I do have my last breath, I'll let go.
Yeah.
It won't be a struggle.
Yeah.
I won't be scared. And I would say that every day, like I obviously don't want to die, but I mean now, right?
Yeah.
Or in the years to come. But every day I try to be more at peace with it, to fight less, to just be more, right? To not try to perform to stay alive, right? And I feel like in our modern society, we do everything that we can to negate our mortality, to forget that one day we won't be youthful anymore. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
And our young people are looking at us and they're getting all the cues of, well, we have to outperform ourselves to make sure that we, stay alive for the longest amount of time. And to be honest, I am curious about these longevity, and biohacking. And I look at it, I'm curious, I try to learn more because of course I want to not just extend my life span, but my health span, right? I would love to live longer.
Live, of course, and live the healthiest
and in a good
life.
state.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
How do you create boundaries? I mean, for women, I feel like we give a lot. And how do you create healthy boundaries without being... Like, how do you balance it all? Because I feel like, it's not about just saying no. It's about saying yes and accepting and having these great experiences. But then, having time for yourself. Like, what's a healthy way to kind of approach that?
That's a great question. I think that I have learned to put boundaries because, one, I don't want to get sick. And when we have no boundaries, there's more chances to become physically ill.
Yeah.
Okay? So I incorporate practices where I slow down, where I move, where I dance, where I laugh, where I let myself go, where I don't take myself seriously.
Yeah.
And then when I come back to my own breath, and as somebody who practices yoga, that practice has literally saved me at times. And I also teach and practice yoga nidra, which is a practice where you have nothing to do. Can you believe it? Have nothing to do, okay? You're lying down on your back, and as a teacher, I would guide you with my voice through a body scan awareness and through your inner landscape, where we usually are a stranger to our inner landscape. What does that feel like to come back home to yourself? What does it feel like to slow down? What does it feel like to actually take care of yourself? We're not taught this. This is not an automatic. This is not what we're being taught in schools.
You literally pause.
I literally pause and I get to know, where are my boundaries? In my life, I've had to say no to maybe 1 or 2 friendships, and I still love these people. I still care for them, and I have tenderness when I think about them and affection. But to be around their energy was depleting, negative. So at some point, I'm like, no. I make the choice that I don't want that around me at most of the time in my life. And it was really hard. Because when I love, right?
Yeah.
Remember, I'm an only child. So if I incorporate you into my close circle or family, I'm going to treat you like, a family member. I'm going to pour love into your life and try to help you and be there for you and listen to you and lift you up. But sometimes that doesn't work. And you have to learn how to let go. And I think those are boundaries. Those are healthy boundaries. And also learning that when I've done 15 activities in one day and been there for other people, that at some point it's too much. Can I just take 5 less, say no? I won't be less loved. I won't feel less purposeful. But I will have thought of myself, and my body will respond because I'll be more in tune with myself. I'll be more available to learn more about who I am, and also to, I would say, reset. Like, we don't reset in our busy lives.
Resetting is actually, and I always come back to that. You have to literally pause and take a moment to just know where you want to go. Like, because it's a lot. You're taking responsibility of family and in-laws and your own family and your whatever, just everything in your home you take responsibility of. And it's good to kind of just assess a little bit.
And assessing means slowing down. You can't truly assess and look at things with a perspective and with distance if you haven't slowed down. It's impossible. It's impossible to read a balance sheet thoroughly if you're an entrepreneur in 2 seconds, right? As it's impossible to cherish a relationship in 2 seconds, or to bring yourself back from stress in 2 seconds. It takes a little bit of time. So if we're patient with ourselves, I think there's so many benefits that come out of it.
You have an incredible, followers that are women that resonate with you.
Sisters.
And
men, by the way. When I was told by people who worked with me that the people who follow me, like I don't like to use those words because they're very technical, but this family, this like community.
Sorry, community. That's where I was going. Yeah.
They're like 75% women, but 25% men. And I'm like, yay, because I love boys, I love men.
But I actually think that's important. You know, when it's like Women's Day and these women's, I mean, I'm sure like you get invited to all these women's functions.
And I believe in them.
Yeah. And I believe in them and they're great. But I'm like, we need men in the room as well.
Yes.
Because we're all on the same page. Yeah. But if like the men are not in the room, how, like they'll never understand what we're going through, the responsibility or, you know, whether it's health or motherhood or, you know, responsibilities we have. And I was like, we have to have both in the same room.
I absolutely agree with you. The thing is, because we come so far back, centuries, really, where women's basic rights are being denied throughout this planet, and we don't have the same freedom to walk away in this, to walk this world as men. Okay, it's just it's a fact. Yeah. And I think that by coming together as women, it's extremely important to start with this. Start with it. Tell each other stories. Tell each other our truths. And then incorporate men into this is absolutely essential. And I always remember on one International Women's Day where we absolutely celebrate women, I said, why don't we celebrate the men who also
lift the women?
Yes, exactly. And it was not well received. Really? Oh my, oh my. It's okay. We have to take risks. We have to include, you know, when we say we have to include 50% of the population who are not active citizens because of their gender, but just because they're girls and women, I'm going to fight my whole life to make sure that happens. And we're still seeing the inequality, unfortunately. And it's still going to take too long to change that. And we'll never stop, you know, fighting for this. But we have to fight with and along, because the wisdom, the creativity, the intelligence, the tenderness of men is needed in this equation. So yeah, I'm totally for it.
When we go back to the women who are part of your community, what do you think one of the most common questions that they have for you?
Ooh. Why, do you have a question?
Well, I just look at you and I think how amazing that you've had this incredible life. And when you piece it all together, and that's why for me, 40 was a real reflective moment, because that's literally what I did. Like I started to understand, like, you know, that my parents tried their best.
They did what they could.
They did what they could, right? Yeah. And then, you know, like so I started, I was like, that's amazing. They, you know, they worked so hard to put me through school and university, and all these experiences are because of, and the experiences they had kind of just, you know, trickle effect into my mindset or my siblings. And then I look at your career and I'm like, how you just went into like small town, big city, which is Montreal, television, which propelled you for public life, and really you had a chance to be around so many incredible communities and people and travel the world, and now you really found your truth. You found what you're passionate about. And when I see you with women earlier this afternoon, there was just this calmness in the room, and I don't think a lot of people have that, and so you managed to do that, and so I feel like you're like a magnet to women today. Like I saw it with my own eyes today, and I was so impressed.
You're going to make me cry.
No, it's actually so nice, because I feel like you have so much experience, and it's so calming, and you know, women just really opened up about what they're feeling, and everyone had different emotions today, and even for me, like we just opened up, and so there was something very special about how you literally found your calling.
It's funny that you say that. First of all, thank you.
Yeah.
Second of all, to me, that's sacred. If human beings feel that they can trust me and they can lean into me and we can make the world a better place, nothing is more important than that, honestly, in my life. I don't have it all together. Like for you, it might seem that, oh, she knows her truth. She knows exactly what. No, I don't. Probably because I keep an open mind and an open heart. And because I have still protection mechanisms inside my personality like every other human being out there, where I doubt sometimes, and I'm not sure. But I think what I do best is that I go back to my discipline, to my inner discipline, and I practice. And so when I find myself in a room where I'm teaching, or in a room where I'm a student, because I'm an eternal student of life, if one day you meet me and you think I have it all together, just remind me, okay? Remind me, you're just Soph, right? And I can hear my dad again, right? when I thought, oh, look at me. I was like, I did such a good slalom run on the lake. Look, it was perfect. And he was like, yes, it was. Now snap out of it and let's try something where you can challenge yourself even more, right? I think I still have that. So I have big dreams. I have big projects that I want to.
But I always say this. I always say the goalpost always has to keep moving. You
coming from you, I believe it.
No, but like you reach the goal. I think you should celebrate it. Right?
Yes.
You should always celebrate. Pause.
Yeah.
Celebrate it. And then have the next goal, you know, because you have to keep moving forward. You can't be stagnant in this world.
And maybe I'm asking too much of myself, but of course I don't think I've done enough. Of course I want to give more. Of course I want to create more mental wealth, financial wealth, wellness wealth, all of it. Because I want to include as many humans inside of this venture as possible, this journey, right? And I have to pause. And I'm going to have to look again and go back to the drawing board constantly to see what's coming up next. But now I'm really inspired with what you're telling me.
No, I just loved it. It was actually just nice to be, invited to be in this group earlier. I'm so honored to interview you today.
Me too. Thank you.
I'm happy you're here. And as a fellow Canadian, it's so nice.
And also, you got to my heart because you gave me perfume.
Yes, yeah.
And for the people who know me, I'm a scent freak. And when you just came in, we just met, and I was like, oh my God, best gift
Oh my God.
ever.
I am going to give a shout out because I wanted to give a gift to you. And I gave her, I went to the Arcadia store, which is a Dubai homegrown brand.
I've been smelling it here and there. It's absolutely wonderful.
On the hub tour, she just created the most beautiful scent, and I was like, "This is just perfect." I'm so glad you liked it because she'll be very excited.
It's all over me.
Okay, good. So I hope you're going to take that back home with you.
I will for sure. And my teenage daughter is not allowed to take it.
Okay, good. Yeah. But before we go, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be remembered by?
You know what? I don't want to disappoint you. I don't think about my legacy. I don't, because when that crosses my mind, because I've been asked that question before, really? Am I that important? Like, how I made people feel in my presence. See what comes up? You're touching my heart. Is really what I hope. That I fell in love with this world so early in my life. And I want people to fall in love with it. With consciousness and presence. Because it's a tough world we live in. And I've seen it in so many angles. But I won't give up. And I hope that other humans that I meet along the path are as inspired as I am, and that we can equip each other in their own creative talents that we have, unique talents that every human being has, that they've been given an opportunity, because there's a lack of opportunity for way too many people in this world, and there's fires burning everywhere. But what are we going to do at the end of the day? Stop having children thinking that everything is going to go dark? Yes, we are living in times of light and darkness. It has always been, right?
Yeah.
And now, sometimes it's visible to the eye and sometimes it's not, but people are suffering everywhere. So we better show up, right? And I want to show up.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
want to show up.
Just show up.
Yeah, just show up.
Every day.
Yeah. Best you can do.
I love that. And what a perfect ending.
Now do we nap?
Now we nap. I'm going to give you a hug. This is amazing. Thank you so much. Welcome to Dubai. This book is honestly so special. And it's not only so personal, but it's filled with expert advice. So I love that as well. Everyone
you're going to cry, you're going to laugh, you're going to do it all. Yeah.
It is. It's a perfect gift. It's something you need to have by your bedside. And thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Legacy Talks. It was such an incredible conversation and so many incredible nuggets of wisdom. And I can't recommend this book enough. You have to get it closer together. And of course, as a fellow Canadian, it's been such an honor to interview you.
To holding each other as sisters is unbelievable. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you so much for watching.